know Mona dearly?
What about her?
She was proceeding southbound on Route 9 when apparently her vehicle was involved in a 21107.
Police Chief Danny DeVito finds out the most hated woman in town is dead in Drowning Mona, one of 5 new films we'll be reviewing this week. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Richard Roeper, syndicated columnist for the Chicago Sun-Times.
Okay, first movie, and although Mona drowns in the opening scene of Drowning Mona, we see enough of her in flashbacks to understand why almost everyone she knew had a possible motive for killing her. Mona is played by Bette Midler as an unbearably obnoxious citizen of an upstate New York town where everybody drives Yugos. Why Yugos? Well, because Verplanck, New York was chosen by Yugo as its first test market, and in the years since then, no one seems to have made enough money to buy a new car. Mona was driving one the day she died, and here is a sample of her personal style.
You don't find me attractive no more.
Of course I don't, do.
You got something going on, don't you, Bill? Don't you? You've been playing Wheel of Fortune with someone else.
That's William Fichter as her husband. Like a lot of other local citizens, he's a little slow-witted, and he's cheating on his wife with Jamie Lee Curtis, a waitress at the local diner.
Guess what? They're calling Mona's accident a case, which means they don't think that she died because of some slippery road.
So?
So that means there's an investigation.
Casey Affleck and Marcus Thomas play partners in a landscaping business, and the Thomas character is Mona's son.
Yeah, I ain't working today.
Oh, no, you shouldn't work. You're definitely on a grievance leave, and I'm just coming by to say that I'm really sorry.
Yeah, that's great, if that's what you want to tell yourself, yeah.
Well, hey, listen, if you ask me, he sounds real broken up about it. I mean, look at him.
Yeah, no kidding.
Affleck is engaged to marry Police Chief Danny DeVito's daughter, played by Neve Campbell.
I love him so much, Dad.
I know you do. I'm going to sort this whole mess out, all right?
Okay. Was Mom like this before you guys got married?
Well, that was a little different.
How's that?
Well, no one died then, honey.
We can see that Drowning Mona has a first-rate cast, but the characters are so lightweight, so artificial, so superficially manipulated by the wind-up plot that the movie lacks conviction even on its own level. It forgets the comedies should, in a way, take themselves very seriously, and that their characters should think that every gag involves matters that are crucially important, at least to them.
Yeah, just because everybody's wacky and eccentric doesn't make the movie funny.
No.
You mentioned this really good cast, but they're not really good in this movie, I don't think. I think this is Jamie Lee Curtis at her most unattractive, which is hard to do. And Danny DeVito, they give him this little thing where he's into Broadway plays, but it doesn't go anywhere. And a lot of people, each character has like a little quirk, and then they don't go anywhere with it.
Yeah. Actually, the funniest running gag is the fact that Mona's son has lost his hand, and there are 6 different versions about how he lost the hand, but in each version he was reaching for a beer at the time. Yeah. That's funny.
That was pretty funny.
If they had gone into that and left off this whole convoluted superstructure.
Yeah, and the stuff with Yugos isn't funny.
No.
The side characters, the rest of the characters aren't that funny. And even the thing with the dumb guy, I mean, they don't really play with that enough.
No. You know, I'm a fan of Danny DeVito, and for that matter, of Neve Campbell, and this time, forget about it.
Forget about it completely. Now, our next movie is one you don't want to forget about. It's called My Dog Skip, a sincere and really engaging coming-of-age story. It stars Frankie Muniz from TV's Malcolm in the Middle as Willie. He's a bookworm whose life is forever changed by a Jack Russell Terrier puppy named, well, Skip, obviously. This smart, cute kid and his even smarter and cuter dog team up to battle the school bullies. They court the prettiest girl in town. They fight with the local bootleggers. They even cross the lines of segregation, all during the summer of '42, if you can believe it. Now, Diane Lane plays Willie's mom. She's a free spirit who gives him the dog for his 9th birthday.
You mean he's mine?
Yep, he's all yours. Hope you like it.
Kevin Bacon plays Willie's dad, a one-legged war veteran who says Willie isn't ready to care for a dog.
He keeps the dog for 2 weeks.
If there's a problem, I'll take it to the farm myself. Jack, Will deserves this chance.
Soon, Willie and Skip are having all sorts of winsome adventures, as in this scene where Willie and his friends train the dog for possible canine duty in World War II.
Those are the bad guys. Those are the Germans. Hitler. You want to kill Hitler.
Well, until now, probably the only movie with a dog in its title that I've loved is Reservoir Dogs, and I'm not exactly the target audience for this family-friendly tale. But I'm mad enough to admit that I love this movie. My Dog Skip is sentimental without being sappy, It's clever without being contrived, and the cast is so attractive, the writing so sharp that only a hopeless curmudgeon, you know, the kind of person who would actually kick a puppy, could be unmoved by this film. Now, I went into the theater growling and snarling about having to sit through some children's animal movie, but I walked out thinking that maybe I should get a dog, especially if I could find one as cool as Skip.
You know, I think it's an interesting point because this is not really a children's movie. It's really... I walked in the same state of mind, but of course it's based on a memoir by Willie Morris, who used to be the editor of Harper's Magazine, and who says that as a child, he didn't have any friends, he was bad at sports, he got a puppy, the puppy was his friend. And you know, at this point, I'm lost, because I had a dog when I was a kid.
Really?
I did. Blackie. Blackie was his name.
See, everybody remembers their dog's name. You don't remember your first grade teacher, but you remember your dog's name, right?
Well, that was Sister Ambrosetta, but that's another story.
Okay. That was the name of my dog, actually.
I loved Blackie. And Blackie was my friend. He was a friend in a way that no human being could ever be my friend. And as I began to get into this movie, which plays it pretty straight, I mean, it's not some cute kid movie. Blackie is or Skip is a dog.
See, look at that. There's the Freudian puppy slip of all time right there.
And Willie is a boy, and they become friends, and therefore, through this dog, he becomes accepted in his community by other kids. And I was touched, and I was moved, and I was surprised how much I liked it.
I didn't think I was going to like it at all. I really I mean, I'm not a yeller old, you know, any of those kind of old Disney-type movies, but you're right. The writing is really good here. And this little Frankie Muniz, who people know now on Malcolm in the Middle, this kid is really good. He's not a cutesy kid mugging for the camera. He's a very attractive young boy and everything, but he plays it straight. And even the dog, they don't overdo it with the stupid dog tricks. I mean, they have a few of them in there. And then you got Diane Lane, who's always great. Kevin Bacon in a
Kevin Bacon
terrific part.
has a couple of great scenes in this movie.
Yeah, he really does. And even like the scene with the sports hero who goes off to war, there's this guy who lives next door who goes off to war. Even that, it's a little more surprising and complex than you'd expect from a movie like this.
Yes, it is. Coming up later in the show, Rupert Everett is the gay father of Madonna's baby in The Next Best Thing. Coming up next, Gary Shandling is an alien in What Planet Are You From?
What kind of guy marries a chick after one date? Didn't you see The Crying Game?
Your training will be extensive.
Show your interest in the female when she speaks by repeating the phrase, uh-huh.
I went to the store this morning.
Alien men study the behavior of Earth women in that scene from What Planet Are You From? A spectacularly ill-conceived comedy about a man from space who lands here on a mission to impregnate an Earth female. Gary Shandling stars as the alien who takes the Earth name of Harold Anderson and gets a job in a bank where his best friend is played by Greg Kinnear.
Who's that? Oh, that's Rita, office manager. I got her a job. Smartest thing I ever did. Is she too late, my friend?
The movie also stars Linda Fiorentino as Kinnear's wife and Annette Bening as the woman whose car he ran into.
That's what you didn't want to tell me. You were at an AA meeting?
Now you know. I hope you're happy. You get your check.
But why couldn't you tell me?
Because I wasn't sure that I was strong enough to stay committed to the program, and I didn't want to disappoint you if I dropped out.
The alien marries the Annette Bening character and successfully impregnates her, and once the mission is accomplished, he settles down to watch TV.
Now, you're distant. You haven't touched me in weeks. Oh, you're going to turn that off?
No, I'm just going to turn the sound up.
Oh, okay. Let me.
Now, here's an interesting thing about this movie. It's based on one running joke. Every time the alien becomes aroused, women hear a strange noise emanating from his pants, something like a roto-rooter or maybe a garbage disposal. Now, I can imagine this being turned into something hilarious in a movie by, for example, the Farrelly brothers, who brought vulgarity to new heights in There's Something About Mary, but not in What Planet Are You From, which was directed by Mike Nichols. This is his first film since Primary Colors, and it seems to repeat a curious pattern, which is that about half of his films are good to great, and the other half are way too much like this one.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't try these jokes out on Diane Sawyer when they're sitting around the kitchen table.
Wow.
But, you know, I don't think you're being fair when you say there's only one joke in this movie. There are other jokes in this movie, and I know it's stupid, and I know it's beneath the level of Annette Bening and Gary Shandling and Greg Kinnear and this terrific cast, but you know what? I kept laughing, and maybe I shouldn't have been laughing.
You like this movie?
I laughed a lot at this movie, and I even had the delayed chuckle thing where you see a stupid joke, and then you just kind of, and they go to the next scene, and you're just going, I can't help it. You're laughing some more. I laughed probably a half dozen times loudly and another 25 times where I was chuckling at it. So even though I know in my heart, in my head, I shouldn't love this movie, I really did like it.
Well,
It made me laugh.
if you laugh, nobody can tell you it wasn't funny.
Yeah, it made me
although
laugh.
I can say that it wasn't funny.
Stupid can be funny, though, right?
Okay,
I mean,
well,
we agree on that.
stupid can be funny and stupid can be stupid. Here's one thing. the sound that comes from his pants is not really dealt with in an original comedic way. Wouldn't it be funnier if the women dealt with it in a real way? How would a woman deal with a sound like that coming from a guy's pants?
Well, how would they deal with the fact that the guy
say, let's just be good friends?
But what about the guy what about dealing with the fact that the guy they just met and married isn't even from this planet? I mean, I think it's funny that she reacts in a more deadpan way, and she's like, well, are we going to have a commuter marriage? You know, what about the schools on your planet? I thought that was funny stuff.
Another problem, Gary Shandling.
Yeah.
Not a great comic actor. He's got one note. It was funny on television because he always seemed to be reluctant to be there.
Yeah.
He never seems to be happy to be saying anything, to be doing anything, and that's the joke on the Larry Sanders Show.
Yeah.
But in this movie, he doesn't enlist us in any sympathy for his character.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. The plot's like something out of Bewitched or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not that deep, but he actually just makes me laugh. He's one of those people, when I look at him, he makes me laugh. I think it's funny that he kind of treats himself in real life and in this movie as a leading man, because he's not a leading man. He doesn't look like one, but him playing one is a funny thing to me. I laughed a lot at this movie.
You are easily amused.
Maybe so.
Coming up next, Rupert Everett is the unlikely father of Madonna's child in The Next Best Thing.
What's the best thing I could tell you?
That you've met a fabulous guy for me.
Ha. What's the next best thing?
Madonna returns to the big screen as a Los Angeles yoga instructor named Abby, and Rupert Everett is along as Robert, the gay best friend who impregnates her in a moment of straightness in The Next Best Thing, a schizophrenic disaster that can't decide if it's an exercise in witty repartee, a slapstick comedy, or wait, maybe it's a melodramatic child custody story. And the problem is we don't laugh at the jokes, we don't care who gets the kid, and we can't even imagine why these two great-looking, intelligent personalities, Madonna and Everett, got involved in such an implausible story. Now, after Abby tells Robert he's the father of her baby, they decide they'll live together and share parental duties, even though there's no hope for romance.
I can't be a husband.
You just have to be a father. And a friend.
And it all works out until the hunky Benjamin Bratt stumbles into Abby's yoga class one day and they start dating.
I don't know, I guess I never met the right woman. Or maybe I met her, but I wasn't the right man at the right time. Anyway, that's my excuse. What's yours?
I decided to have a child instead of a husband.
Couldn't you have both?
But instead of being happy for his lovelorn friend, Robert turns into a total jerk who treats Brad as if he's a convict and not this wealthy, caring, perfectly handsome man.
Hi, this Abby Reynolds' house?
Suddenly, the wacky banter gives way to a ludicrous courtroom drama, with the former best friends now locked in this mortal combat over the fate of their little boy, who reacts to all of this torment and upheaval with a less convincing range of emotions than was displayed by the pooch in My Dog Skip. And meanwhile, the two men in this movie are constantly displaying their waxed and tanned and chiseled pecs, while Madonna just manages to stay clothed, but she keeps whining about her aging and sagging figure, even though she's a yoga instructor with muscular arms who can do all these levitating tricks with her supple body. The Next Best Thing is truly, truly awful. It's almost enough to make you yearn for a double feature of Shanghai Surprise and Who's That Girl? Well, almost.
This movie is bad.
Yes.
This movie is really bad. And I think you put your finger right on it, which is, first of all, it's not a funny comedy. Then it's not a convincing romance. And then it's a turgid courtroom drama. And then it ends with this, you know, sunset over Los Angeles as the reconciliation takes place. And we're just sitting there staring in appalled disbelief at the screen. I didn't believe 1 second of this movie, and I was especially offended by its entire approach to homosexuality.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose these people somehow buffaloed themselves into thinking that this movie was somehow...
We're being liberal, we're being 21st century, because
Rupert
Everett, of course, is so openly gay
I don't care if he's gay or straight, he's a creep in this movie.
He's a real creep. He's almost sinister and hideous. And if the people in this movie really behaved like this in real life, they wouldn't be having any golden sunsets at the end of the story.
Another question, he's a gardener.
Yeah.
She's a yoga instructor, so of course they live in a $2 million house.
Yeah, that's nice. Must pay well in LA.
Everyone in the movies. Okay, next movie, and our next movie is Miss Julie, based on the play by August Strindberg, the Swedish playwright, about a long night of talk and mind games between the daughter of a Swedish count and her footman. The movie takes place in the 19th century in a society where strong walls of psychology and custom separated upstairs and downstairs. And what's intriguing is that these two characters are not really attracted to each other romantically. They're attracted to the danger of crossing the class divide.
kiss my shoe.
That's Saffron Burrows as Miss Julie and Peter Mullen as the footman Jean. You might remember him from My Name is Joe. An element of sadomasochism comes into focus as they translate their real-life roles into role-playing scenarios.
Do you think, Julie, that a housemaid would behave towards a man the way you have? Have you ever, Julie, seen any woman of my class behave the way you have tonight?
Miss Julie was directed by Mike Figgis, who made one of my favorite films, Leaving Las Vegas, another waltz of self-destruction involving two erotically mesmerized characters. The performances are merciless in the way they spare us no feelings and conceal no secrets, and for once, here's a classical play that doesn't feel like a classroom assignment, but comes alive in anger and passion.
Yeah, this movie bugged me. I'll tell you
Oh, yeah?
why. It's the rich lady. She's got a crush on the footman. They have really, like, uneventful sex in the pantry, and then they talk about it. I kept going like this, like this, like this. What's going to happen? And you mentioned Mike Figgis, the Leaving Las Vegas director. He shoots it the same way. He's got the camera angles going. He's got split screens. He's got a glass of wine, so you get, like, the Cabernet cam look and all this stuff going on. All of it because he knows that he's not really dealing with what I didn't find to be very interesting material.
Let's start by your comment that their sex is uneventful. Their sex is amazingly eventful. It just doesn't have
No,
to
the talk about the sex is
No, the
eventful.
sex itself is eventful.
Really?
Because they're not doing it in a sexual way. They're doing it almost to wound one another, to hurt one another. They're looking into each other's eyes and saying, you know, I don't like you, and I hate myself for doing this, and I hate you for letting me do it, and that's what's going on. It's going on between their eyes, not between their genitals.
Maybe so, but if it's
and that's
really,
why
if
it's so
But
interesting.
if it's bad sex, it's bad sex, and I thought she was going to laugh
No,
at it and
it
go,
isn't.
if that's all that's going on downstairs, I'm going back
You
upstairs.
don't just look at this movie in terms of whether it's good sex or bad sex. It's the psychology that's involved.
I just thought the characters were going on and on and on, and they should have gotten over with it and moved on with their lives. I found it really, really dull.
Okay, well, I guess you're not the first person that doesn't like Strindberg.
That's for sure.
Okay, coming up next, the films of a great American comic actor, funnier than any comedian on this week's show, I think we can agree on that, have been reissued in a special DVD. John Belushi died 18 years ago this weekend, but still lives on among those who valued his comic genius. And my video pick this week is an extraordinary DVD package named the John Belushi Collection. The set includes the collector's editions of 3 of his films, including, of course, National Lampoon's Animal House, which made him into a big star.
See if you can guess what I am now.
Also, his classic musical with Dan Aykroyd, Blues Brothers. And also included Steven Spielberg's 1941, with Belushi as a pilot in the wrong plane at the wrong time.
My name's Wild Bill Kelso, and don't you forget it.
What I like about this set are all the extra bells and whistles on the DVDs. 1941 was not a success, but you learn a lot more about it because this package includes a documentary named The Making of 1941 with Spielberg talking about one of his rare flops. It's my video pick of the week. Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this week's show. 2 thumbs down for Drowning Mona, which is so contrived that we didn't care who drowned Mona. 2 thumbs up, though, for the charming family film My Dog Skip. A split decision for What Planet Are You From? I didn't laugh, but Richard did, and he liked Gary Shandling. 2 thumbs down, way down, for The Next Best Thing. And finally, a split vote for Miss Julie. I admired Mike Figgis' adaptation of the Strindberg play. Richard felt it was tedious.
I'm still laughing about What Planet Are You From? In my head, I'm laughing.
I'm still laughing that you laughed about it. I can't believe it, but we agree on My Dog Skip.
Oh, we really like that movie.
Thanks a lot for being here.
Sure.
I'll see you at the office.
Alrighty.
Okay, remember, you can hear our reviews on the web, Richard and myself, at ebert-movies.com, part of Go Network and my print reviews, and actually Richard's column, too. They're online at suntimes.com. Next week, we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including the sci-fi epic Mission to Mars, and also Roman Polanski's satanic thriller, The Ninth Gate. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.